Welcome back. You're watching The Agenda. So today is day 2 of the District Development Model Conference at the University of Stellenbosch. The model aims to improve the coherence and impact of government service delivery with a special focus on 44 districts in 8 metros around the country. Our reporter Lulama Matya is on the story. Lulama, a good morning to you. I think let's start off with what we have already heard from this conference taking place in Stellenbosch. A little bit earlier, we did play a clip of former Public Protector Lulama Matya talking about improving the future of South Africa. What else have we heard so far?
Good morning, Naledi, and to the viewers at home. Yes, indeed. Last night, former Public Protector Advocate Lulama Matya was addressing a gala dinner for the conference here in Stellenbosch, where she talked about the importance of transformation, saying that transformation is key in bridging the widening gap between the rich and the poor, especially when she was talking about the issue of land, which is an emotive, sensitive issue in South Africa, saying that in Stellenbosch, there is a township that is called Kayamnandi, where people, residents of that area, were expected to be given a piece of land by the city of Cape Town. The former mayor, then Patricia de Lille, who is now the Minister of Tourism, but she left before she could finalize that process. So those people are still waiting for land, saying that it's unlike, in essence, Naledi, saying that actually it was her own words, that what people must judge for themselves if removing the ANC from the power in the next general election will mean that some of the challenges facing the country will be solved. But yes, today, let's talk about what is happening at the conference today. I am joined by the convener of the conference, Thamsanqa Maqhubela. The conference was conceptualized in 2019, but it could not be implemented because of COVID. So it's the first of its kind conference, Mr. Maqhubela. So far, are you happy as the convener?
Thank you very much. We appreciate the SABC for really covering this first annual District Development Model Conference. We are very much happy with the turnout of municipalities, provincial government, even the national, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs led by Minister Thembi Nkadimeng. They were here and they have given us really food for thought in terms of what we need to achieve from this conference. The resolutions of the conference will really deal not only with issues of skills, with issues of competencies and capacity of municipalities, but really how to create coherence between national, provincial, and local government. We are very much happy with the turnout. Municipalities from all provinces have been able to come in and answer the call to say, how do we really break down the silos and make sure that local government becomes viable? If local government becomes viable in South Africa, my dream at the South African Council for Graduates is to really help South Africa turn our protesters into what we call shareholders, because shareholders don't just go and protest and destroy assets. Shareholders are people who want value for investment made. So taxpayers are actually necessarily our shareholders, and we want them to view the assets they have in government, particularly the infrastructure that most of it lies in ruins and in decay in local government, to see how best do we deal and help this. Our role is to say, how do we assist municipalities? We have no right to criticize them if we cannot offer them solutions and assistance.
You're talking about an important issue, that is skills. You will find that even the Minister yesterday of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Thembi Nkadimeng, mentioned the issue of skills, especially in far-flung municipalities that are in rural areas. What are you hoping to do to bridge the gap between those municipalities that are in rural areas and those that are in urban areas where they have revenue that they can pay high salaries compared to those in rural areas?
It's a big challenge, the issue of migration of skills, particularly from smaller municipalities with limited budgets. And I think the Auditor General, Mr. Kane Maluleka, mentioned yesterday the migration of skills, where small municipalities cannot afford your chartered accountants. The environment in smaller municipalities, let's take, for instance, Lady Frey, where we know that you might find that Mayor Noni would want to have the best chartered accountant in town. How is she going to sustain that? Because opportunities prevail in other places where there are better schools, better roads. How then will she be able to sustain keeping those? But what we are happy about is that the South African Council for Graduates work with a number of SETAs. Facet SETA is here represented by CEO Ms. Ayanda Mafuleka, and we're saying financial and accounting skills are in high demand in municipalities. You would have seen with the revelations by the Auditor General of fruitless and wasteful expenditure that is so high. So we're starting with an internship program. We move on to what we call a candidacy program, where we keep graduates for a period of 3 years in a municipality, funded by a number of SETAs. At the moment, as we speak, the local government SETA has issued program for 950 graduates in engineering, electrical, mechanical, in accounting, in finance, in IT, to be placed at different local government sectors. So we are very happy with that, but more so, Bank SETA has also answered the call to say, Sagra, there is 332 graduates, go place them in entities where they can be mentored. The challenge we though need to address is the issue of mentorship. As the Minister Nkadiming said yesterday, the migration of professionals from your smaller municipalities needs a national conversation and needs a national budget. We asked the Treasury to subsidize funding and supply and keeping of qualified professionals in smaller municipalities. Without recapitalization, it would not materialize.
Keeping those professionals in small municipalities, what do you do to make sure that they do the job that is expected to be done? Because at the end of the day, those audits that come back with a disclaimer, unqualified audits, some audits, the AG cannot even express an opinion. There are officials in those municipalities. What are you doing to make sure that the professionals that you put in those municipalities, they do the job that is expected to be done?
That is why the District Development Model Conference comes with a set of awards. These awards are one of the measures which we use to gauge the level of participation, but the level of performance of municipalities. We have one of the awards funded by Facet SETA talks to issues of financial prudence. You know, getting a clean audit is just one, but how would the municipality perform? It's another. And I'm glad the Auditor General talked to it yesterday. So our role is to use this conference as an evaluative conference to evaluate the performance of municipalities, to look at the successes that they have registered, but also to look at the challenges that they are facing, because it is not easy to be a municipality official in South Africa. We can be very, very true and about that. To be a mayor is not easy. When there's a funeral, communities have nowhere else to go. Instead, they go to a municipality or the mayor, and they expect the mayor to come up with a budget, of which the budget has been scheduled for other things. Now, out of feeling for the family, out of pity, then they begin to use the money to support and assist the community. Look at the disasters in the Eastern Cape, in KwaZulu-Natal. How do you keep to budget? So we need to also factor in the fact that there are areas that are outside of the control of municipalities. And I think we have to do whatever we can to support them. So these awards are going to bring us evidence, proof, to say, indeed, the professionals that are placed in local government are doing the work they're supposed to be doing. If they don't, then we come up with mechanisms to coach them, to train them and capacitate them. And then beyond that, then it's an issue of discipline.
How are you going to measure successful municipalities or success in those municipalities in order to give them those awards?
We're looking for what we call irrefutable evidence. And we have the Municipal Infrastructure Support Agency, which the Acting CEO, Ms. Khomo, will be speaking and addressing the conference tomorrow. We have the Auditor General Office, we've got National Treasury. All of these are entities that will help us to validate the evidence that is given to us from this number of awards. For instance, Construction SETA, a CEO yesterday, Mr. Malusi Shezi, launched two programs, one for the most regularly maintained road and well-maintained road in South Africa with no potholes. And we would be asking the citizens to vote, because there is no better way than to ask the citizens to say, are your roads regularly maintained? And the second award by Construction SETA talks then to a road that has used most innovative non-traditional building materials to build roads. We can remember, Sisi, that you have Eskom producing about 36 million tons of fly ash and bottoms ash annually in the Mpumalanga province, Limpopo, as well as Free State, and part of Gauteng. We shouldn't be having potholes because of the availability of ash that can best be used as a cementitious substance to patch and maintain our roads.
Potholes on the roads, sewer on the streets, you're going to ask citizens to vote, but voting at the same time can be opened up to corruption. What are you going to do to make sure that those votes, there is a proper way of counting them, of making sure that they are legitimate votes?
We believe in the supremacy of our Constitution, and we believe that the IEC is a credible body in South Africa to ensure the integrity of our elections. But what is more important, as I've said in the beginning, Ms. Lulama, is that we want South Africans to see themselves as shareholders. I really believe that each and every taxpayer, each and every makulu who earns an income as Sichonga Xhosa, would see herself as a shareholder. Shareholders don't protest. They sit in boardrooms, they inspect work done, and they provide resources and hold officials accountable. And I think this is a role we need to play as citizens. Instead of going around protesting, there's nothing wrong with protests. We need to have protests of gratitude, where we go around and thank God to say, we know our officials are working, they are tirelessly going around solving the potholes, what we're talking about, that on our roads you have floods of sewer. We want to make that history, not because DDM is a panacea to all the problems. There is that human element, and I think we need to motivate municipalities. We are asking them as a South African Council for Graduates, working together with COGDA, working together with SALGA, and all our partner SETAs, to say we can do this, South Africa. Let us challenge ourselves. South Africa can be the best country in the world. Let us not allow politics to ruin our lives. There would always be a ballot box competition between the political parties, but what we need to do now is to hold them accountable. We cannot hold them accountable if we do not support them.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Maqhubela. Naledi, that was the convener of the conference, Thamsanqa Maqhubela. Let's hope that this time next year, when they have the conference, we will see the results of their work. When they are saying that they have launched awards for best performing municipality, whereby he's saying that they will ask residents of the country to vote for a best or well-run municipality, for a road that has no potholes, for streets that have no sewer, to win that awards. With that, back to you at the studio.